Focus on yourself, because no one but you is responsible for your happiness. Start putting yourself first. Choose for yourself. Act for yourself. Value yourself as someone who has finally understood their own worth. Tell me, how long will you live trying to please others? How long will you waste your energy trying to fit into molds that constrict you, while your own life is forgotten in a corner? Chasing approval only has one purpose: to make you smaller and smaller. Deep down, you've already realized this doesn't strengthen you, it only tires you. It's like chasing a shadow. The more you try to reach it, the further it gets. And with each step, you lose a little bit of yourself. This is where many people get confused. They live on the outside but are empty inside. Surrounded by voices but without hearing the only one that truly matters: their own. The Stoics said that true freedom doesn't come when the world applauds you, but when you learn to respect yourself. True power has never been in what others say about you, but in what you choose to believe about yourself. That's what it's all about. Focusing on yourself. Taking the center of your life not out of selfishness, but because no one can walk with firmness and purpose if they always live at the bottom of their own story. And it all starts now with a simple gesture. Right, today I choose to focus on myself. This sentence isn't just a comment, it's the final point in the version of you that lived trying to please others. Before we continue, I only ask two things: like the video and subscribe to the channel. This helps this message reach those who also need to hear it. Now let's move on to the first lesson. Number 1. Be your best version in every microsecond of life. Between the moment you feel something and the moment you act, there's a tiny, almost invisible space. But it's in that space that everything is decided. It's in that microsecond that your life is shaped. You feel an emotion: frustration at work, anger in an argument, anxiety that arises suddenly. Soon after comes the thought, seeking quick relief, immediate comfort, any kind of escape. And then comes the action. But before that, there's always that silent moment, that small interval in which you can still choose. If in that brief moment you react without thinking, impulse will overwhelm you. But if you learn to control that interval, you get closer to the best version of yourself. Marcus Aurelius said that the soul takes on the color of the thoughts it chooses. Every choice, however small it may seem, paints a piece of the canvas of your life. And it is in that tiny moment that you decide which colors you will use. Ask yourself, does this attitude strengthen or weaken the person I want to become? When the day is over, will I feel proud or regretful? If you're not sure, wait. Often the problem isn't that the temptation is too strong, it's that your image of your ideal self is still too weak. Therefore, keep this vision clear within yourself. Who are you at your best? Your ideal self is someone firm, responsible, focused, and honest. They don't procrastinate, aren't driven by impulse, and don't trade what they most desire for what they want in the moment. They are like an arrow. They follow straight ahead, determined and faithful to their purpose. Every time you control this instant, this microsecond, you strengthen this version within yourself. It ceases to be just a distant dream and begins to become a habit, a force that guides your decisions. Remember, life doesn't change suddenly, but in those almost invisible moments. Controlling a microsecond is the same as mastering a day, and mastering your days is mastering your life. The phrase you should repeat today is, "My ideal self guides my choices." Make a deal with yourself. Keep that in mind whenever the easy way out appears. Because in the end, what defines who you become isn't the big events, but the small seconds in which you choose to be true to your best self. Number 2. Stoic mentality of 1%. Have you ever noticed how we spend a good part of our lives trying to fix things that were never really under our control? It's like trying to hold back the fog with your hands. The more force you use, the more it escapes. At the end of the day, all that's left is exhaustion and a head full of worries, but nothing really changes. It is at this point that the Stoics teach us a simple but powerful exercise to clearly separate what depends on us from what does not. To imagine this, think of two circles, one inside the other. The large circle represents everything that worries you: news, family opinions, others' expectations, comparisons on social media. The smaller circle represents what is truly in your hands: your attitudes, your discipline, the way you speak, and the direction you give to your own thoughts. And the question you should ask yourself is simple. In which of these circles do you spend more energy? Where have you been spending most of your time? Most people live in the larger circle, endlessly revolving around things they can't control, like planets trapped in an unchanging orbit. But those who learn to focus on the smaller circle, even if it seems like only 1% of all reality, discover something incredible. This small space of control is worth more than everything else outside of it. Epictetus, who was born a slave but was free inside, said that men are not disturbed by things but by the way they see them. This idea changes everything because it's not the weight of the world that destroys you, but rather how you carry it. Think of a potter. He doesn't decide how hard the clay will be, nor does he control the heat of the kiln, but he controls the pressure of his own hands. It is this silent control that transforms raw clay into something strong, beautiful, and unique. This is how the Stoic 1% mentality works. You don't mold the world, but you mold yourself, and that transforms everything else. When you live within the circle of worry, you become a prisoner of events, reacting to everything and exhausting yourself with what you cannot change. You spend your time putting out fires that you didn't even start. But when you start living within the circle of influence, you become a creator. You define your own limits, work on the ground within your reach, and build firm foundations even when everything around you seems uncertain. And it is at this point that the turning point happens. What once seemed impossible to control begins to lose its power. What once seemed too heavy becomes lighter to bear. And then you understand that you don't need the approval of others or external guarantees. You just need to learn to be your own master. Remember, a good part of your time is wasted on worries that bring no results. The 1% mentality is choosing the opposite of that. It's using your energy on small actions that little by little change the course of your life. In the end, it's not about how many battles you face, but about where you decide to put your strength. If you put it into chaos, you will be carried away by the wind. But if you put it into your 1%, it will be like a root, firm, stable, and ready to grow in any soil. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Today I choose to live in my 1%. And if you really want to apply this, start right now. Write 1% in the comments. This will be your symbol that your peace doesn't depend on the world, but on your choice. Number 3, don't give up. Persistence is what builds real results. In 1964, in the state of Georgia, in the United States, a mother named Angela Cavallo watched a car fall on top of her 11-year-old son, leaving him unconscious. In desperation, she did what seemed impossible. She lifted the car by herself about 10 centimeters, just enough time for neighbors to come and help save the boy. Tony survived without any lasting effects. This story seems to be about physical strength, but it's actually about resilience and determination. When everything seemed over, Angela didn't stop. She pushed herself beyond her limits because she simply had no other choice. And that's what persistence does. It transforms what seemed impossible into something that ultimately becomes inevitable. You may never have to lift a car, but you've had to lift your own life. Carry dreams that seem too heavy. Face obstacles that make you think about giving up. Go through long periods of silence without seeing any results. Even so, it is only by continuing that you go further. Seneca wrote, "Persistence is the hard work you do after you get tired of the hard work you've already done." That's true mental strength. Persistence isn't about mindlessly repeating things, but about standing firm in your values and goals, even when the world tries to push you back. Think of an arrow shot against the wind. The resistance is real, but the stronger the bow, the farther it will go. And the same happens with you. Every failure, every stumble, can be seen as a weight that holds you back, or as a force that pushes you forward. Persistence isn't about never making mistakes. It's about getting up every time, wiser, stronger, and more resilient. It doesn't matter if the result doesn't come tomorrow or next week. What truly matters is continuing, because the journey always rewards those who don't stop. This strength isn't exclusive to a few, it exists within all of us, waiting to be used. So, make a deal with yourself. I'm not going to stop. Write this down as a reminder and carry this phrase with you every day, because persistence isn't a matter of talent. It's a choice, and every time you choose to continue, life makes room for those who don't give up. Number 4. Stop accepting less. Nothing changes in your life if you don't raise your expectations of yourself. Lack of boundaries, difficult relationships, and even your financial situation, everything is linked to what you allow, what you silently endure, what you continue to accept, even knowing you shouldn't anymore. Think about it. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach the other person to repeat it. Every time you accept living on autopilot, you reinforce that habit. And every time you suppress your desires to avoid bothering others, you dig a void within yourself. Raising your standards is like replacing the foundation of a house. From the outside, everything may seem the same. The street, the neighbors, the problems. But now the ground that supports you is different, firmer, stronger, impossible to be destroyed by the first wind. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's greatness is measured by how much they demand of themselves. This means that true change doesn't come from expecting less from others, but from expecting more from yourself. More clarity, more self-love, more truth in what you believe. The reality is that your problems won't simply disappear. What truly changes is how you react to them. What once left you powerless now only challenges you. What once made you feel weak now becomes proof of your courage. And that's how lasting transformation is born, when you decide to raise your own standards. Because we all receive exactly what we allow in ourselves and in the people around us. But the moment you decide to no longer accept what weakens you, that's when your life truly begins to change. When you stop settling for less, everything around you starts to fall into place. So keep this phrase as a commitment to yourself. Today I choose not to accept anything that diminishes my worth. Write this sentence down, say it aloud, or repeat it in your mind whenever you need to remember. And never forget, the world doesn't respect those who settle for crumbs. It respects those who stand up silently and show through their actions what their true limits and standards are. Number 5. Transform yourself into an arrow. Focusing on yourself isn't about doing more and more things. It's about learning to remove everything that no longer serves you. When Michelangelo finished sculpting David, he was asked, "How did you create something so perfect?" And he replied, "I simply removed everything that wasn't David." This is the same principle you should apply to your day, gradually removing everything that hides your true strength. It's not about creating the ideal routine or accumulating miraculous habits, but rather examining your life and eliminating the excesses that drain your energy. Modern psychology confirms something the Stoics already knew centuries ago. Barry Schwartz, in the study called The Paradox of Choice Studies, have shown that the more options we have, the more anxious and unhappy we become. Excess doesn't bring freedom, it brings confusion. Therefore, simplifying isn't losing, it's gaining. Think of someone who, looking at their phone, realizes they spend 3 hours a day on Instagram. 3 hours that disappear without them noticing. Then this person decides to change. They cut the habit and limit usage to just half an hour. Suddenly they have 2.5 hours that were previously wasted, time that can now be used to exercise, read, sleep better, or be with those they truly love. Or imagine someone who accepts all meetings, all invitations, all conversations. When that person cuts out 80% of the noise that doesn't help at all, they have energy left for the 20% that truly moves their life forward. That's when simplification stops being an idea and becomes liberation. At first, it might even seem strange, as if something is missing. But this emptiness is actually space. Space to breathe, concentrate, and use your energy on what truly matters. Ask yourself honestly, is what I'm doing today bringing me closer to where I want to be tomorrow? If the answer is no, cut it out. Because every accepted distraction is a detour, and every conscious choice is a step toward your goal. Becoming an arrow is about that. Ceasing to live trapped in what-ifs and starting to see each situation as an impetus to move forward. It's not about accumulating paths, but about pointing your energy in a straight line toward the purpose you've chosen to live. And remember, an arrow only fulfills its purpose when it is pulled to its limit and launched in the right direction. Your life works the same way. It will not be defined by what you hold on to, but by what you have the courage to let go of. Number 6. Get into a state of flow every day. Within you lies a vast reservoir of creativity, strength, and self-control. Even if they aren't yet fully developed, these qualities are already within you. They simply need to be trained, like muscles awaiting exercise. The problem is that many people waste this energy on small things. They start the day aimlessly, get distracted by everything, and end up exhausted without realizing they never got around to using their true power. Epictetus said that what differentiates us from animals is the power of thought, not instinct, but the ability to organize the mind. And that is where the state of being is born. Flow is when you find the right balance between challenge and skill. Not too easy to bore you, nor so difficult as to paralyze you. It's that moment when time seems to stand still, and you feel that everything is finally in harmony with what you were born to do. But this state doesn't arise by chance, it requires preparation. Each choice you make each day is like tuning the instruments of an orchestra. If you organize your environment, define what is a priority, and cut out what distracts you, your mind begins to work in harmony. When this happens, even simple tasks gain brilliance, energy, and purpose. Think of an archer who only releases the arrow when everything is aligned: breathing, posture, target. The same applies to you. Enter into flow. It's about aligning body, mind, and purpose until action becomes natural. Therefore, plan your day not as an endless to-do list, but as a path to reach the mental state where you create more, achieve more, and feel more alive. Living in flow, it's not about working more, it's about working fully, with presence and purpose. Remember this: every day I enter a state of flow. Try living a day with this focus. You'll notice that when your mind finds rhythm, your life finds direction. Number 7, discover your solitude. If you're always trying to fill yourself with something, company, noise, distractions, you'll end up spending your life without truly knowing yourself. It's like trying to put water in an already full glass. Nothing stays, everything overflows, and you never taste your own essence. Montaigne said that the greatest achievement in the world is learning to belong to oneself, and that's what solitude teaches. Learning to dwell within yourself, to find calm in silence and strength in your own presence. True mental strength is not born amidst noise, but in moments when you allow yourself to be alone and face your own thoughts without disguise. It is in these moments that you discover who you truly are, not the person others expect to see, but the one who truly exists within you. But from a young age, we've been taught to avoid silence, to fill every second with distractions, social media, empty conversations, and meaningless tasks. But it's precisely when the world falls silent that you can hear the most important voice, your own. Discovering your solitude is like building an invisible fortress within yourself. Outside, the chaos may continue, but inside, you learn to remain firm, centered, and whole. Think of an athlete who needs rest for their body to grow stronger. Solitude is that rest, but for the mind. It's the moment when you stop chasing the next stimulus and begin to fill yourself up from within. It's not about withdrawing from the world, isolating yourself, or being antisocial. It's about returning to live within yourself, knowing where to find yourself when everything seems confusing. And when you feel afraid of silence, remember, silence is not emptiness, it is space. It is within it that you find the answers you were looking for in the wrong places. Believe in yourself. Create the version of yourself you would love to spend every day with. Nurture thoughts that help you grow. Nurture small ideas that seem like mere glimmers until they become flames of achievement. This is the beginning of solitude. When you plant this seed within yourself, you discover that you will never feel alone again, because you will always have your own presence as your best friend. But there's something important to understand. If you've been trying for a long time to step out of your comfort zone and learn more, but haven't been able to, there might be something you're not aware of. I know what it might be. Anxiety. Anxiety is like a snake that creeps up silently and affects you without you even realizing it. It leaves you feeling unwell for days, months, and even years. Living like this is like being sick all the time, but I know a solution. Stoic philosophers, along with modern psychology, have a way to help you get rid of it. I managed to cure myself of this anxiety. I made a video explaining how you can get rid of this problem, and it's in the first comment. Click the link in the first comment and start healing yourself from this feeling of anxiety. Number 8. Protect your energy from emotional vampires. There are people who, unintentionally, act like invisible thieves. They don't take your money, but something far more valuable, your energy. Being around negative or lazy people is like breathing polluted air. You don't realize it right away, but little by little you start to poison yourself. They convey the idea that giving up is normal, that not fighting is acceptable, that living without improving is enough. And the danger is that this gradually seeps into your mind, to the point where you also start to slow down, accept less, and think it's okay to live below your potential. Don't think that willpower alone will protect you. If it's already difficult to make good decisions alone, imagine being with someone who normalizes weakness. It's like rowing against the current while someone is making holes in your boat. No matter how hard you try, you end up sinking too. Science confirms what life already shows in practice. A study by the Kellogg School found that being around high-performing people can increase your productivity by up to 15%. But just one low-performing person is enough to reduce that same productivity by 30%. In other words, the negative effect is twice the positive. It's much worse to walk with bad company than to walk alone. And this doesn't just apply to lazy people. Toxic, negative people who constantly complain and judge others act like grey filters. No matter how beautiful or colorful the world is, next to them everything seems colorless, dull. And before you know it, you start thinking and reacting the same way, as if life has lost its light. Therefore, protecting your energy isn't selfishness, it's a matter of survival. You can't control everything that happens in life, but you can choose who walks beside you. If you don't make that choice carefully, they will drag you down to their level. And remember, those who don't want to grow end up trying to drag others down to stay the same. Decide today, whoever doesn't add value won't stay with you. Keep this phrase as if it were a shield. My energy is too valuable to be drained, because in the end it's not just your mood for the day that's at stake, it's your future. It's the life you haven't yet lived, but which can be stolen little by little if you don't have the courage to defend what you hold most precious. Number 9. Win the war within yourself. How many times have you felt like you took 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back? You make plans, you have the tools, you know what you need to do, but when it comes time to act, something inside you holds you back. That something is the internal conflict. On one hand, you want to grow and succeed. On the other, a voice whispers that perhaps you don't deserve it. On one hand, you dream of prospering. On the other, you carry the idea that money is something wrong or distant from what is spiritual. On one hand, you want to commit. On the other, you fear losing your freedom and ending up trapped by obligations. These voices don't speak loudly. They act like invisible ropes, pulling you in opposite directions, and no one can walk steadily when they are being stretched from within. The Stoics already knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Man lives in peace with himself when his actions are in harmony with his principles, and it is precisely this harmony that disappears when there is a fight within you." The first step is to recognize these conflicts and name each one of them. Ask yourself, what within me is pulling me in different directions? Perhaps it is the fear of making mistakes. Perhaps it is the fear of not being accepted. Or perhaps the belief that success means losing something important, or that money can change who I truly am. Once you identify these conflicts, comes the most liberating part, aligning your life with what truly matters to you. When your choices match what you believe in most, taking action ceases to be a struggle. You don't need to force yourself. Everything begins to flow smoothly. Think of a river. When it's blocked, the water crashes against the walls, swirls endlessly, and doesn't move forward. But when the dam is opened, the water flows powerfully, naturally, and without limits. The mind is the same when it resolves its internal battles. And then comes the next step, action. No excuses, no self-deception, no fighting with yourself. Because when you are whole inside, nothing on the outside can derail you. And when you achieve your results, remember, it's not just about celebrating, but also about sharing. What you achieve isn't just yours, it serves to inspire and strengthen others. That's what keeps the cycle of fulfillment alive, aligning, acting, achieving, and sharing. In the end, The greatest victory isn't against the outside world, but against the silent wars within yourself. Because nothing external can stop someone who has transformed their fears into clarity and their divisions into strength. Number 10. Strengthen the promise you make to yourself. There are promises you keep to others, schedules, commitments, responsibilities, and there are promises you make to yourself, and these are almost always the first to be broken. You say you'll wake up early, but you postpone it. You say you'll change a habit, but you revert to the old one. You say you'll dedicate yourself to what matters, but you get lost in distractions. Every time this happens, something silent breaks inside you. It's not just the promise that's broken, it's the trust you have in yourself. The word you give yourself is the foundation of your identity. When you strengthen it, everything gains consistency. When you ignore it, everything becomes fragile. There is no true strength without self-honor. And self-honor is born when you do what you said you would do, even when no one is watching. Think about it. If someone else promised you something and repeatedly failed to deliver, would you trust them? Of course not. Now, understand the impact. When you break your own promises, your mind learns that you are not trustworthy. It stops believing what you say. That's why so many "I'll start on Monday" promises die before noon. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a lack of internal credibility. Seneca said that the soul is shaped by repeated actions. Every action is a vote. Every time you fulfill what you said, you vote for the strong version of yourself. Every time you abandon it, you vote for the fragile version. And no profound transformation happens if your soul continues to vote against you. Strengthening your word starts small. It's not about making grand vows. It's about silent, intimate, daily pacts. If you say you're going to read 10 pages, read them. If you say you're going to train for 20 minutes, train. If you say you're going to bed early, turn everything off and go to sleep. It doesn't matter how big the commitment is. What matters is fulfilling it. Because internal trust is cumulative. It grows every day in the details. It grows stronger precisely when it's most difficult. When your mind realizes you're keeping your promises, it begins to align with you. Impulsiveness diminishes. Discipline increases. Clarity emerges. Life ceases to be an eternal restart and becomes a continuous path. Nothing flows while you live betraying yourself. Everything flows when you become someone who honors their own word. Also realize that keeping your promises to yourself creates something rare: self-respect. Self-respect doesn't come from motivational phrases or externally forced self-esteem. It comes from the concrete act of treating yourself as someone worthy of trust and care. That's what creates presence. That's what creates poise. That's what changes the way you walk through the world. Stoicism has always been about this: less talk, more action; less intention, more action; fewer grand promises, more small agreements maintained daily. So make a simple pact now, without fanfare, without drama, without haste. Choose a commitment that you will keep in the next 24 hours. Not 30 days, not 6 months. Only 24 hours. And fulfill it. Just that. Victory lies in the present moment. Strength lies in small things. Transformation begins when you prove it to yourself. Write without fear and without doubt, "I keep my word." Repeat this phrase as if sharpening an inner blade, because when your word is valued again, your life starts moving forward again. Number 11, make commitments that honor you, not ones that drain you. There are promises you make to the world, and there are promises you make to yourself. The difference between a light life and a heavy life lies in the type of commitment you choose to uphold. Much of your exhaustion doesn't come from what you do, but from what you continue to do for fear of disappointing someone. You say yes too quickly, offering your energy before assessing whether it truly aligns with who you are becoming. And little by little, without noticing, you drift away from yourself, until you become someone who lives to keep others comfortable, while squeezing yourself inside to fit into a life that no longer makes sense. The problem is silent, because the burnout doesn't happen all at once. It arrives in small concessions, in every favor you accepted even knowing you weren't entitled to it, in every conversation you had just to avoid seeming rude, in every project you took on for fear of saying no. The sum of these small deliveries creates a profound exhaustion, a weariness that doesn't go away with sleep, vacations, or distractions. It's the weariness of not living your own life. Seneca said that time is our most valuable asset, yet it is the one we treat most carelessly. Time doesn't come back. Attention doesn't come back. Energy doesn't come back. Every time you give these three elements to something that drains you, you leave less space for that which strengthens you. There is a difference between serving and sacrificing. Serving is when you give something that springs from love and presence. Sacrifice is when you give something that springs from the fear of disappointing, being rejected, or losing ground. The question that needs to be asked is simple. Does this commitment bring me closer to who I am becoming, or does it take me back to what I have already overcome? If the answer is the latter, this commitment doesn't deserve to remain. It doesn't matter if it seems small to others. The body feels it. The soul knows. The weight reveals itself in the silence of the night, when you lie down and realize you've lost yourself trying to be too available. When you choose to make commitments that honor you, your energy changes. You feel firmness in your voice, your posture straightens, your decisions become clearer. Your mind stops struggling to please everyone and begins to work with focus. This is not selfishness. Selfishness is expecting others to fill the void you have neglected in yourself. Honor is recognizing your own worth before giving it away. Making commitments that honor you means saying no respectfully, but without guilt. It means choosing intentionally, not impulsively. It means stopping engaging in battles that aren't yours. It means being where you can grow. It means choosing relationships where there is exchange, not drain. It means walking towards what strengthens your identity instead of molding your identity to fit expectations. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "As one leaves maps so as not to get lost." Take care of your soul more than anything else. Your soul is your center of gravity. If it wears itself out trying to carry the world, everything around it crumbles along with it. When it is firm, even the difficult becomes bearable. Make a commitment to yourself. Before saying yes, breathe. Ask yourself, does this strengthen me or drain me? Does this honor me or diminish me? If it doesn't honor you, don't insist. Life responds to your attitude. The world learns from the way you treat yourself. When you respect yourself, life begins to respect you too. Write it down for yourself as a silent reminder. I only embrace what strengthens my presence, my peace, and my direction. This is the kind of pact that transforms destiny. Number 12. Simplify to move forward. Less distraction, more direction. Modern life pushes us toward a pace where everything seems urgent, important, and indispensable. But the truth is that much of what occupies your mind, your time, and your energy has nothing to do with what truly helps you grow. You find yourself responding to messages that don't matter, scrolling through feeds that add nothing, participating in empty conversations, embracing problems that aren't yours. In the end, you're exhausted, not because you did too much, but because you spent energy on things that lead nowhere. Simplifying isn't about living less. It's about living better. It's about removing the excess to reveal the essential. Just as Michelangelo said about David, "I have simply removed everything that was not him." Your growth also happens when you remove everything that is not you. You don't need to do more. You need to do it with more intention. Excess creates weight. Focus creates strength. Too many choices create confusion. Focus creates clarity. Too many tasks lead to paralysis. Focus leads to movement. Psychology and philosophy converge on this. A scattered mind is a weak mind. A focused mind can move mountains. Barry Schwartz showed that the more options we have, the more unhappy and indecisive we become. Marcus Aurelius, centuries earlier, already said, "Do only what is before you, with simplicity, with sincerity, with firmness." Simplifying is an act of courage, because to simplify you need to embrace what truly matters and let go of everything else. The problem isn't that you don't have time, it's that your time is being devoured by everything that doesn't serve you. The problem isn't that you lack energy, it's that your energy is scattered in 1,000 directions instead of concentrated in one. The problem isn't that you're slow, it's that you're walking down paths that don't lead you to the destination you claim to desire. Do a simple exercise now. Set your goals. Cut out everything that isn't essential to keep only the things that truly transform your life. Ask yourself, what, if I do it every day, will change my story in 6 months? The answer is never a long list. It's always something simple, profound, and consistent. Perhaps studying for 60 minutes a day is the answer. Perhaps it's about taking care of your body with discipline. Perhaps it's writing. Perhaps it's about building your financial independence. Perhaps it's about strengthening your presence and your voice. What transforms you isn't the a lot. It's the everyday. The world was made to distract you. Platforms are designed to capture your attention and not give it back. People project their insecurities onto you. Situations try to pull you away from what matters most. But the direction is yours. The time is yours. Your life is yours. Simplifying is like sharpening a blade. You remove the excess so that it cuts with precision. Simplify your routine. Simplify your relationships. Simplify your goals. Simplify your choices. Do less, but do it with authenticity. Do less, but do it with strength. Do less, but do it with presence. Simplicity is not poverty. Simplicity is power. It's the ability to put all your energy into something that truly matters. Write for yourself, as one who charts a new direction within their soul. I choose less distraction and more direction. This phrase is not theory, it's a path, a stance, a silent revolution, and every true revolution begins from within. Number 13. Stand firm in yourself. Run your race. Sometimes it's hard not to compare yourself to others. You look around and it seems like everyone knows where they're going. They build good relationships, they grow at work, while you feel lost, insecure, and unsure of what you want. This comparison weighs you down because it drains your energy and clouds your vision. The more you look outward, the further you drift away from what could grow within you. The truth is simple. You can only be who you are, and that's already something incredible. Comparing yourself to others is like running while looking backward. Every time you turn your face to see others, you lose your rhythm, stumble, and feed your fear. Epictetus said, "If you want to progress, accept appearing ignorant or foolish about some things. That's the secret. It doesn't matter if someone seems more advanced, your race isn't against them. It's against your own excuses. Imagine a runner on a track. He doesn't control the pace of others, but he can control his own breath, rhythm, and the force he puts into each stride. If he spends his energy observing those around him, he has already lost the advantage. But if he keeps his gaze on the horizon, each step becomes progress. Life is the same. Someone can spend years comparing themselves to co-workers until they realize they're stuck in something they never wanted. When you decide to refocus on yourself, you change course, start over, and finally find a purpose. Or think of someone who constantly compares themselves on social media, thinking they're behind because they haven't traveled, gotten married, or achieved what they wanted. Until they decide to stop, invest in themselves, and discover that their own pace is the right one. This is the power of focusing on yourself. When you stop wasting energy trying to achieve what others have, you begin to build what only you can create. So turn to your own path, run your own race. Don't waste time trying to fit into molds or expectations. Every flower blooms in its own time, and every life flourishes when you stop trying to copy someone else's garden and start tending to your own soil. It's not about beating others, but about giving your best in what is yours. Because when you dedicate yourself to what you love, success ceases to be something you chase. It starts finding you along the way. Make that commitment now. Write, "Today, my focus is my own race." Not as a casual phrase, but as a firm decision. Because when you stop looking to the sides and start running only in the direction of your growth, something profoundly changes. Your life gains rhythm, your mind becomes clearer, and the weight of comparison disappears. In the end, true victory is not arriving first, but arriving whole, forging the path that only you could walk.